But this was the life into which she was born, and if she was lucky, she would survive marriage to a monster better than her own mother had. Perhaps John Scully would die young. A wicked crack of thunder sounded, and it occurred to Adelaide that pondering the death of one's groom while before the parson would likely offset the good luck of the torrential rain outside. A tiny, wild laugh bubbled out of her. No one noticed. She adjusted her spectacles and touched her fingers to her throat, where the high lace collar of the wedding gown made for another was too tight. The priest prattled away, his words a run of stuttering gibberish, born of fear of what might come if he failed in following his instructions, no doubt. Adelaide made out something about Cana of Galilee as she cast a look at the man she was to marry, rocking back and forth on his heels, as though he had somewhere else to be. Her gaze slid past him to his mother, seated in the first pew, the one hiding the entrance to the underground cellar that held 6 cases of weapons, waiting for whatever war Alfie waged next. The older woman's gaze was stern, as though they were before the magistrate and not the minister. Adelaide's attention shifted to the others in the row. 2 young women, Scully sisters, looking as though they might be rendered unconscious from the boredom of the day. Behind them, a row of men, Scully's brothers, one by blood and the rest by fire. Soon to be her brothers, too, she supposed. Hideously brutish, brows low over eyes, heavy enough to shade their noses, broken so many times over that smashed was a better term for their state. They, too, fidgeted. An ordinary bystander might think the movement's a result of a collective fear for souls, that a house of God was not their preferred location for a Saturday morning. But this was no ordinary house of God, and Adelaide was not an ordinary bystander. The priest continued, finding enough clarity to say something about hellfire, which Adelaide thought a bit much for a wedding, but perhaps he was attempting to turn the assembly to the light. Good luck to him. She shifted, just enough to see her father out of the corner of her eye, just enough to see that he was not watching the ceremony. Instead, he was staring over her head, past the priest, to the stained glass in the windows beyond. His meaty fingers tapped against his knee. His jaw worked as he chewed the side of his tongue, a tell that Adelaide had learned early meant she should find a way out of the room and fast. Squinting through her spectacles, she looked at his boots, still caked with muck from the rookery beyond. There, touching the heel of one, was the wooden handle of the club that was her father's preferred weapon. And that's when she realised that she wasn't going to be married that day. It was not to be a merger, but a conquest. Her father planned to kill her groom. She snapped her attention back to the priest, instinct taking over. There was a chalice on the altar behind him, likely made of pewter, though not heavy enough. No, she'd be better with a brass candlestick, the short one on the far side of the altar. She'd have to get there first, up 2 steps. Were candlesticks holy? Adelaide lowered her hand to her skirts, annoyance flaring. If she'd known she was going to have to fight, she would have protested this frock. She rolled one shoulder in the too-tight dress. There was no way she would be able to swing that candlestick hard enough to do damage, and she needed to be able to do damage. What kind of animals turned a wedding into a turf war? And more importantly, what were they waiting for? If any here assembled... Adelaide rolled her eyes. Of course. No one liked theatre like a lifelong criminal, thinking himself a hero. Has reason for these 2 to not be joined in holy matrimony. Beside her, Scully shifted, his hand slipping beneath his coat, to where he no doubt had a blade holstered. Her father wasn't the only one out for blood that day. Oh, for God's sake, she muttered. The priest turned censorious eyes on her, as though no bride would ever consider speaking up at this moment. Speak now, or forever hold your peace. For a moment, silence fell, long and heavy. And for a heartbeat, Adelaide wondered if she was wrong.